Okay, guys, it's Matty V, formerly of Phuket, coming to you from where can I say, the upper northeast of Thailand, up in the Isan region. Moved up here a couple of months ago. Got away from Phuket and all that it was there. But what I plan to do is I plan to do a channel update over the next few weeks, maybe early next week, and I'll show you a little bit around the place up here and what it's like living up in a village up in northeastern Thailand. Give you a little bit of an idea of how different life is up here compared to Phuket. But today is Wednesday, the 26th day of January, and it is Australia Day. And Australia Day for me has a really big significance. Um, but I just can't get over where all the animosity comes about Australia Day and the division that it has caused among so many people. Now, for me, I can speak honestly and openly about Australia Day because I served in the Australian military for a time. I don't know whether I've mentioned that before, and I was also a policeman for over 12 years down in the lovely Melbourne, Victoria. I left there in about 2010. So after that, I moved over here to Thailand, but yeah, Australia still holds a very big significance in my life and a place that I really dearly love and love to see it grow and prosper. But Australia looks like it's in a bit of trouble at the moment. So it's really sad to see. Um, so Australia Day for me, what does it mean to me? And Australia Day growing up, man, was always about having beers and barbecues with your friends, getting together, having a good time. It was nothing political. It was never meant to cause offence to anyone. It was never meant to be a racist day as far as I was concerned. If I was lucky enough to have the day off, I would catch up with my mates. We'd listen to Triple J's Hottest 100 and have a couple of beers and just enjoy the day and being around your friends. Unfortunately, stuff like that's no longer the case. And I think even Triple J now don't even have their Hottest 100 on the day. They actually have it, I know, on the weekend before, and even that's degraded to the point where I think the Wiggles won it this year. So, which is, yeah, I find that unbelievable. Now, all this stuff with the racist stuff in Australia, as I said, for most Australians, it was never about um, looking down or anything like that on our Indigenous brothers. Look, I've got the utmost respect for our Indigenous people in Australia. I think it's what's been happening to them is just it's been a modern day genocide that's been going on for 100 years, and instead of doing it quick, they've done it really really slowly over time. Um, but a lot of people feel like it's their duty to stand up and to stand up now for what reason I don't know, but they feel like it's their duty to stand up and to um, take on the cause of the Indigenous people in Australia. And I honestly think that if you want to take up a cause and you want to stand up against racism, maybe you should ask the people that feel like they're being treated or being racially abused. Because if you're just taking up the cause and you don't know anything about that cause, then you're getting this whole crusader mentality where I think if you want to be a crusader for a cause, not a really cool thing, you know. So maybe a lot of people should have a look at themselves and actually see what their reasons for standing up are, and if it's just for another cause, that yeah, because even the leaders of the Aboriginal communities that take everything to the government, they've never done anything. This has been an issue for as long as I can remember, ever since I was a child. And what am I, 46 now? Ever since I was a child, this has always been an issue. It's nothing new. But what's ever been done to help these people and to help these communities? You know, to me, it's all politics, and they've been sold out from the top with people just playing politics all the time. So that's probably enough on that. But if you've got any thoughts on the subject, please send them through right down in the comments below. And I'm happy to have this discussion with anyone because I think it's a frank and open discussion that needs to be had rather than just people standing up on a tucker box and having their say. So yeah, and the actual history of Australia Day, I'm not sure if many people realise that Australia Day was actually, it wasn't until after World War II that they decided to have Australia Day on this day. Before that, it was celebrated towards the end of July. It moved around a little bit between the 26th, 27th and 28th of July. And that was only during the period of after World War I and up until World War II. And then after 1946, they decided to move it to this day. Now, this actually brings you onto a really interesting fact, and that is history and what we actually know of real history. So I put it to you that a lot of what's presented as real history just isn't the case. Real history of Australia, do we really know what happened? Or are we reliant on a book that said something happened on a certain day? I don't know exactly set in concrete what we have that's so well documented that we can actually lay our hat on that date at all. Did Captain Cook land on that date? Did he sail into Botany Bay as we're all told? Did he actually step foot and start a war with the local Indigenous people at that time? Did the Indigenous people, did they record it? Did they actually write it down and document it in their history? And the more you look at history, I think you'll find the more you find the inconsistencies and things just didn't happen as they've been written down or that as we're being led to believe. Now, what brought me across all this inconsistencies with our history is I'm a member of a website, and it's become more of a think tank, but it actually started by a guy called John LeBon. I think I've mentioned him in my videos before. JLB actually went back, and if you go onto his website, I'm not sure if it's behind a paywall or he's released a lot of this now for free, but where he actually did the painstaking work in going back through history books, citing their sources, getting their source material, going back again, finding the source materials from where that book comes from. And when you go back, you'll find that all our history is based on nothing more than around the mid-1850s. Beyond that, even ancient history is based on fallacies. And the academic world is basing their facts on a book that was maybe written in 1850, 1860. And it seems that these stories have just come out of nowhere, and that's where they've ended up. So it's something to look at. It's not, as I said, it's not for everybody. A lot of people don't want to look at these type of stories because they don't want to see that everything that they've based their lives on has been a lie. So it's up to yourself, but I suggest that if you want to know the reasons why we're in the predicament we are today, it's because we're not standing on a firm ground. We're not standing on ground that we can say that we know absolutely what is what, because to me, history and believing in history, as a lot of things, is like believing in, it's like people that believe in science when it's unfounded. It's like people believing in a religion where, I don't know, and I don't want to upset anybody that's religious, but when you look at things, most religious people will accept that you need faith, and you have to want to believe it. So if you have that faith, that's good. But if you have faith in science or you have faith in history, they're very, very big things to have faith in, because you always naturally think that history and science are based in fact, which it isn't always the case. So, and again, the hardest part to believe in that is to understand yourself and what your reactions are going to be. And if you lose that confidence that that history or you've been lied to, it's going to shake you fundamentally to your core. And a lot of people don't like that feeling of feeling like they've been duped, for me, I'm easy. Like being an ex-copper, I was lied to all the time, and everyone always pissed in your pocket. So to me, it's nothing new. And what I always try to do, I always try to look at the big picture of everything, try to get a good grasp on what's there, instead of just looking at what I'm told. I like to pull back, if you will, and get a bird's eye picture of a story before I start to believe it. So if you can implement those type of things into your thinking, I think it's good. Just thinking a little bit more critically, and but yeah, bringing it all back. Like if you look around and what's happened in Australia, like basically West Australia don't want to be part of Australia anymore. And then you look at yourself, and it's almost become a mirror of most people. A lot of people are broken and don't feel like they're really part of the society anymore, and which is a bad thing. Sorry guys, I've just taken a whole heap of notes. I've done that much research on all this stuff over the last period of time. So if you could imagine, it's all encompassing. So yeah, Australia to me has never been the same. It seemed to lose its identity around the mid-90s mark, and I don't know what happened around that time. But to me, it went from a very, very laid-back culture to somewhere that becomes super fast, really, really quick. And it's not hard to pinpoint a time either, because it was around the time the internet started to take off in Australia in the mid-90s. After that, it just become a vastly different place. People started to take TV series and movies a lot more seriously, and just starting to think that they were part of those movies, I think. So yeah, whether it's a good thing or bad thing, but please leave some comments down below, and let me know if you noticed any difference in Australia, and how the people were acting, and if there was a shift in consciousness around that time that sort of started moving us into where we are today. Okay, another thing with Australia, a lot of people question, and me growing up as a young fella, people say, you know what, like what happened in other countries, or what happened in this country or that country, that could never happen to Australia. And guys, I think it's time to wake up and realise it is happening to Australia. Australia is being overrun by something. And when you look at the mentality of the people are just giving up and just saying, well, yeah, I don't, they've got no fight left in them anymore. So if you could think it could never happen to Australia, this is exactly how a takeover does happen. People get beat down. It's been 2 years. You've been living under hard restrictions. Gets to the point where there's just no fight left in the dog anymore. Now what's going to happen, and you can see this, they'll say, okay, we'll take off some restrictions. We'll ease it up on you. But then what will happen again? What happens the next time they decide to drop it on you? Now, if you don't think that it will happen again, just remember 2 years ago they said it's only 2 weeks. 2 weeks of a shutdown. Yeah, that's all we're going to do to you. Just 2 weeks, shut it down for 2 weeks, stay at home, put your feet up. In 2 weeks' time, we're back to work, everything's back to normal. Then it went from that to lockdown, to lockdown, to lockdown. Then it went from that to, just 2. 2 in there, buddy, and everything will be okay. Everything will be back, no masks, no nothing, just everything will be back to normal. Then it become, but I've had it, and nothing's back to normal. Oh, no. You need 3. You need the other one. Everything will go back to normal. Everything will go back to normal. How are you living today? Yeah? Has compliance to a tyranny ever allowed you to get your freedoms back? Compliance is no way to ever be free. You'll never be, you can't comply your way out of this. Unfortunately, this is what it's going to take. It's going to take people to stand up and say no more. That's the only way. And I'm really apologetic that it's come to this. As I said, even though I'm not in Australia, I've got a family here. I can't walk out on my family. But I love Australia. I love it dearly. But it's going to take people with a backbone, people with a bit of gumption and strength to be able to say, No more. Australia Day being Australia Day is what it is. But I implore you, look your mates in the eye and ask them today or tonight. It'll be tonight your time when you see this. Ask your mates, what are you going to do? You know, and it's not violence that needs to be done, but it's just non-compliance. If you don't comply with it, if you just say, no, sorry, we're going back to normal, and that's all it takes. It doesn't take a fight. I'm not one that believes in violence. I've never believed in violence. Violence is just a stupid act that people create out of frustration. I'm not a old hippie sitting out here either telling you, non-violence and all that type of thing. I'm just saying that non-compliance, just having that inner strength to be able to say no, no more. And it's not an argument about what this does to your health or anything like that, because that's something that's going to happen down the track anyway. Okay, a lot of people have taken it with good intentions, and I honestly think if you take something with good intentions, nothing bad can happen to you. If you've done it because you believe this or that and it didn't come true, but if you've taken it with the right intentions, I don't think anything can hurt you. But I honestly think, just don't comply with it anymore, and it'll go away quick as anything. Anyway, guys, I can honestly say happy Australia Day, and enjoy the country because it's one of the most beautiful places in the world, and I really miss it. So take care, guys. And as I said, I'll drop a video in later on, and I'll show you what it's like to live up in the countryside of northeastern Thailand. It's a bit of a trip out here, and yeah, I think you'll enjoy the look around and everything.